My name is Tess Wilson. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator with the National Network of Libraries of Medicine, Middle Atlantic Region. And today we are presenting this alongside another region. I see some of our colleagues are here already. So the Middle Atlantic region today is presenting this in conjunction with the Southeastern Atlantic region of NNLM. We are here today for a boost box, so we're having a guest webinar. Our friends at the Western Pennsylvania Regional Data Center are joining us today. And today's boost box is about consumer health data literacy. So we're going to be doing some basics in data literacy with a little lean toward health information and health data. Anytime you're chatting, unless it's a direct question about tech, or if you're chatting to someone individually, just go ahead and chat all participants, and that way we can all see what you're chatting. Liz, could you go to the next slide, please? Just a couple housekeeping points before we start. We will be sending a link, hopefully here in a couple seconds, to the closed captioning link. This session is being recorded, and it'll be available on the NNLM YouTube channel in a few weeks. Participants in this class are eligible for 1 MLA-CE, and you can obtain that if you follow the link to the evaluation that you'll be linked to at the end of this webinar. So please complete that evaluation. We really appreciate your feedback. And then at the end of it, you'll receive a code to obtain your credits. Okay, I'll hand it over to Liz Monk from the Western Pennsylvania Regional Data Center. And everyone, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Tess. Can you guys hear me? Great. I am just trying to find my PowerPoint. Okay, I did it. So my name is Liz Monk. I work at the Western Pennsylvania Regional Data Center. It's housed at the University of Pittsburgh. It is a joint partnership with the City of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County, where we work to make local data open, public, and usable. There is a Google Doc. I'm trying to make sure that it is open for everyone to get into. You should be able to edit it now. And then these slides are also available through Google Slides if you want to follow along or if you want access to them. So please add your name to the roll call and any contact information you feel comfortable sharing. We're going to use the document throughout. So please keep it open. If you have any questions, if you could raise your hand using that function in the chat or any comments, that would be great too. So just the plan for this hour is we're going to do this welcome and introduction. We're going to do some small group discussions, talk through data literacy definitions, give you guys some examples and resources, do another small group activity and sharing, and then wrap it up. So hopefully it will be fun and go quickly. So we're going to start with a quick icebreaker, and we're going to practice using our raising hand function. So the first question I have for you is whether or not you say data or data, or how you hear that. So how you pronounce it. If you say data, could you please raise your hand in the chat? Okay. Ah. And then if you say data, I don't know if I can clear it. I also appreciate your patience. This is my first WebEx, my real first WebEx experience. Great, that's it. So it's We have both camps here. I say data. The raise hand is in the under participants. You could see a little raised hand in the to the left. Okay. Well, we're going to go into breakout groups. So when we go into our breakout groups, we're going to have you introduce yourself, have somebody take notes in the Google Doc, and then answer the questions. What experience have you had with data literacy in the library setting or any setting? What challenges have you faced? And if you haven't, if you don't have any past experience, that's not any problem. But what prompted you to join this session? So I will have Tess put you into the breakout rooms. I'm sorry about that. Would anybody like to share any challenges they've faced or any experience they've had doing data literacy? You could raise your hand and you could be unmuted. Trying to isolate concrete skills, or you could put it in chat if there's challenges you've had or anything you've done. What does it actually mean to make somebody data literate? How are we integrating these skills into classes? And then having done data literacy work, but not doing it in the library setting. Separating the literacy from the domain knowledge. Interesting, yeah. Has anybody done data literacy work specifically in the library? Teaching basic what is data classes, and then responding to patron needs. Also doing data literacy in the public health sphere. So it seems like there's a range of experience. So what is data literacy? I think data literacy can be kind of a fuzzy gobbledygook term that gets thrown around and isn't always clearly defined. This is a word cloud that was created using multiple definitions of the term. This is a working definition of data literacy that we like. Data literacy includes the ability to read, work with, analyze, and argue with data as part of a larger inquiry process. This comes from Catherine D'Ignazio and Raul Bargava from the MIT Media Lab. They do a lot of data literacy work that we admire and have been inspired by. So feeling comfortable reading data, finding and extracting it, performing analytical operations on it, and then feeling confident using it to support a message. I think a key component of data literacy is understanding context and the limitations of the data. Is it an estimate? Is there a margin of error? What's the sample size? How old is it? What is missing from this data? These days there's a lot of technical tools, and just because you can do a complicated analysis on data doesn't mean that you understand you don't understand the context of that data. So how do you build data literacy? This is also from Catherine D'Ignazio and Raul Bargava, but focusing on one data literacy concept at a time, having a low barrier to entry, having pathways to deeper learning, using guided activities, and data relevant to the audience. So if you're focusing on health and public health, this would be the data that you are using to teach would be within that in that framework. And then making the training and activities fun and engaging, which sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't, as it's doing right now. But trying. And then what's the role of libraries and civic data? So another project that I work on is called Civic Switchboard, and this is a Institute of Museum and Library Sciences project. It is a partnership with the public library, the academic library, and then us. It's the regional open data portal in Pittsburgh, and the idea of it is that libraries and library workers should be key actors in civic open data ecosystems, so playing a larger role. And that can take up many different roles. Data literacy is one that has been focused on. Part of this project, we have funded other sub-awards, and many of them were focused on building data literacy in the public library. So this is an example from the Queens Public Library, a project called Data Counts, which trains library staff to provide open data workshops and hard-to-count census tracts, worked with partner organizations, and developed a community trainer program with the mayor's office. And then we also, an academic library example was with the Rice University, the Fondren Library there, the academic library there, piloted data literacy workshops with community members, and then incorporated what they learned into a Train the Trainers workshop with the United Way. And they were both very successful projects. They have materials available online. These links, we'll share all these resources with you, along with some others. So I'm going to run through some activities that you can do. So we have adopted a paper-first approach to data literacy. When we first started doing this work, let me back up. When we first launched the Open Data Portal, which was making a lot more data publicly accessible, we were holding user groups with community members. And what we heard was that it's great that this data is available, but we need more support using it. We need help. So we partnered with the library to create a Data 101 toolkit and a training session series. And when we first piloted that series, we combined teaching tech, so teaching particular software programs, and also teaching data literacy concepts, and we really found that to be a problem. So people were getting stuck on the tech side of things and not being able to think through the data concepts. So we ended up doing paper first, and we found that that was much more successful. It has figuring out how we can translate that into the virtual world that we're living in these days has been challenging, but there have been opportunities too. So I was just going to run through some activities that maybe you could use in your setting that are pretty low barrier to entry. So this is one we have found often used as an icebreaker. Data words. Participants each write a word on a note card and pass it around. Once 4 or 5 words are written on the card, the next person will write a sentence that includes all of those words. And this activity is designed to remind participants that they are all bringing context from their own lives, their own biases when they are interpreting these words and how they should go together. We do guess the data set, presenting charts or maps without any information about its data or its source. We ask people to choose from one of a few possible titles for the chart or map, and then display. We have that in a gallery format and reveal the answers. So giving people a chance to talk through together what they think it is, their assumptions, and again, looking at that personal context you're bringing to data interpretation. Another activity is having a data journal, asking participants to track data they're creating over the course of a day. And this is bringing awareness to how often daily activities are creating data. A metadata scavenger hunt. So participants visit different stations around a room in small groups and then are given a scenario about how that data set could be used. So looking at, is it appropriate to use this data given this situation? Is it timely? Is there something in the license that would make it not usable? Is it not accurate? Data zine, so encouraging people to explore a community issue using civic data, other local resources, and then different ways you can display that, different engaging ways you can engage with people. And this civic data field guide was created by Tess. Another What's in Your Wallet activity. And this comes from the Our Data Bodies toolkit, which is also, we will link to, a great resource. So participants in the activity use cards containing your wallet to better understand the kinds of data that is included. So what kind of personal information that might be shared with service providers using these cards. Data scavenger hunt, providing participants with a list of questions about the community, how they should try to answer using data. Watching people search for data on the internet tells you a lot about how people are trying to access information these days. Data sculptures, this is coming from data therapy, giving participants a chance to play with data using craft materials. The use of these materials provides opportunities for creativity, translating numbers and data into structural forms, and then how you can present a story from a data set and connect with that. That is one we already talked about. And declutter a chart. So if you have a chart, or we did this with felt boards in our Data 101 session. For sharing a chart made from felt, you could do it with whiteboard or chalk, or if you didn't feel like cutting up tiny pieces of felt and numbers, but asking participants to declutter that chart, thinking through how people communicate with data and the best way to do that. And people, when we did this activity, came up with different, as you can see at the bottom in the after, they had different designs. Data set pass is giving a data set to a group of participants, asking them to create a visualization, and then continuing to pass that. So in this one, once you pass it and you give it to a new group, the group has to visualize in a different way, and then it is passed to a different group and find a different story. We did this activity as a part of our Data 101 workshop, and at the end, somebody's comment was, I feel like I should always do this with my data, because you get stuck in these ruts of ways to visualize data. Data visualization gallery, so having data up and doing a data walk, and then people walk in small groups answering questions about the data. What's that message? Who's the intended audience? What might that underlying data look like? And then discussing which data is effective and why, and which is feeling relevant and not relevant. This word counter is available at databasic.io, and you can, it's a good introduction to text analysis. You can look at the frequency at which they appear. Participants can then be asked where the text is used to generate the counts. It's a good idea. It's a good tool for teaching people how data can be created from text. Finding stories in data is another activity we've done. This is a workshop that a general introduction to telling stories using data. We give people data paper, so a spreadsheet on paper, and then they work together to discuss different types of stories they can find in that data set. When it is on paper, we found that there is much more conversation and working together, and there is a much greater appreciation of computers and using spreadsheets. Ask good questions. This is a handout also from Data Basics. So using a spreadsheet on a computer or shared, participants can brainstorm a list of questions they'd like to ask of the data, of questions they think that data can answer, and then other things they need, other places they could go. Really thinking through that data set before you start to do anything. What questions can it answer? Data trivia, we find this very successful with students. So you can ask them to create trivia questions about their community using data that either they're given or asked to find. And then they can compete in that trivia contest. So when you are watching people develop questions and answers, they'll tell you more about data and how well they are able to find data, manipulate it, understand its context, and then how they create something of value. Tests. I'm wondering if you think that the breakout rooms might work this time, or we could give it a go.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Let's just try it as a larger group again. I really apologize for this. I think WebEx is just this platform is just being a little funny today. So thanks again for your patience. But maybe we can do this as a larger group if that is okay.
Sure.
With you. Awesome.
So if you guys can go to the Google Doc, and maybe I can share the screen, there are 3 different data visualizations, and you can just add your thoughts underneath that visualization. And if you want to put it in the chat, what you're thinking, that's also totally valid. But looking at these data visualizations, thinking about what's the message, who is the intended audience, what might the underlying data look like, and what other questions does it make you ask? What is missing? So this is one of the activities I just ran through, and this is an attempt to try it virtually. So if it was in person, we would be in groups, or they would be up on a wall, and people would then add Post-it notes to it, but we will try it this way, and I'll see if I could share it also through the screen. Add that link again. Thank you. So data visualization 1 is looking at the increase or decrease in deaths per day. Data visualization 2 is average hours of training required to work as a cop or a beautician. And data visualization 3 is writing at a cost. With 100 million, oh, let me try that. But if you want to add your thoughts about who these are for, who's the intended audience, any questions it's making you ask, what's missing, any kind of reactions you have to it, that is all valid. You can feel free to put your comments on any or all of them. Or you can add it to the chat as well. This is data visualization 1. Data visualization 2. And data visualization 3. So if you want to put your thoughts on these data visualizations in the Google Doc or put it in the chat, there are welcome. I'll give you guys a couple more minutes to finish your thoughts. Okay, so it's let's regroup and talk through these. So thank you for sharing your thoughts on these. Data visualization 1, it seems that consensus was that it was overwhelming, but kind of interesting. Not quite sure that what it was trying to communicate. Did anybody feel like number 1 was the strongest visualization? How about we put a check next to us if we did? I don't see any checks. And then visualization 2, what kind of questions did this make you ask? So I felt like too much. If you click on the link for visualization number 2, it will give you a little more context as to where that information came from. But it's a very simple, straightforward, and Mona Chalabi, who does illustrations for The Guardian, a lot of her point is to try to make things more simple and also try to communicate that data is not perfect, that there are issues with data, and that you should know that it is not a neutral thing, that people are involved with it. But if you are interested in this, if this one spoke to you, then I would suggest checking out her work. It is very simple. Yes, I agree, Karen. It does, for me, make me ask more questions. Like, it makes me want to know more about the sources of the data. And let's see, for this third one, felt like this one felt like a pretty positive reaction. Found that it was the 2 charts makes it more complicated to figure out, and it's a lot of information. This is actually an example of like a poorly done before chart, because it's saying that if it was trying to pull out Denver as the most important, that it's not that clear that this is about how much money Denver spends, because Denver is at the very bottom of this chart. But yes, so this is a good exercise just to get thinking more about how things are visualized, how we're consuming data, how much the person who's interpreting that data and presenting it, what they're putting into it, and who the audience might be. So I've put together these resources with a lot of different toolkits or activities or information about data literacy that are pretty low bar. There are a variety of them. I am always, if this is something you're interested in doing more at the library, I would suggest checking out our civic switchboard project. There are ways to get involved there, and you can email me at any time. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to Tess at this point.
All right, thank you. Would you mind just flipping through the slides as I go, Liz? Awesome, thank you. Let me get to my, okay. So this is Tess Wilson again. I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator with the National Network of Libraries of Medicine Middle Atlantic region. And I just wanted to follow up with some of the community health data resources and statistics portals that we like to talk about when we talk about health data. So So these are just a few of them. PH Partners, Partners in Information Access for the Public Health Workforce. So this is a collaboration of U.S. government agencies, public health organizations, health sciences libraries, and their focus is to encourage collaboration and organize health information resources, specifically for use by public health professionals. It includes topic pages on public health topics and a data and statistics portal. The National Center for Health Statistics, that's a CDC site, and that's the principal health statistics agency for the U.S. Medline Plus Health Topics. This is just our standard site that we like to point folks towards at the NNLM. It's a really great place to start if you don't quite know what you're looking for, or if you're looking to expand on a topic. Allegheny Community Indicators, so this is for our local folks. And this is a set of interactive dashboards that enable users to see data about different public health topics in a pretty easy to understand format. So if you're in Allegheny County and you're interested in exploring that, the Community Indicators is a really great place to start. Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, that's sponsored by the CDC and some other federal agencies, and it collects self-reported data from all 50 states on health behaviors, use of preventative services, and chronic conditions. And the census, the federal government's largest statistical agency, that's a great place to turn for some larger views of data in our country, and Rural Data Explorer. So that's a resource from the Rural Health Information Hub, and that's a really great place to go for rural health issues if you're curious about that data. The statistics are from publicly available federal resources, and they include information on demographics, health disparities, social determinants, access to services, and tribal health as well. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so I wanted to share another really exciting project that the NNLM is participating in, as it might interest either your library, if you're library staff, your community, if you are with a community organization, or even you as an individual. We're working closely with the NIH's All of Us research program. For those of you who aren't familiar with the program, I'll just give you a brief overview. The All of Us research program is a 10-year-long project that aims to build one of the largest, most diverse data sets of its kind for health research. And the goal is to get 1 million or more volunteers nationwide who will sign up to share their health information over time. And the mission is to accelerate health research and medical breakthroughs, and that will enable individualized prevention, treatment, and care for everyone. So this is a really exciting project with the goal of helping researchers understand more about why people get sick and why people stay healthy by looking for patterns. Next slide, please. And if you are with a library, it's really easy to get your library involved with this project. You can join us, work with us, and lead with us. Libraries can become a member of the NNLM by signing up, and you can also sign up for the NNLM All of Us newsletter for updates and for upcoming engagement opportunities. You can sign up at that link, nnlm.gov/allofus. And if you want to dig a little bit deeper, you can work with local All of Us partners to help promote community events via your library's website or listservs, newsletters, or you can ask your regional NNLM office about how you can participate. So as I said, we're the Middle Atlantic region, but you can find your region and ask them specifically how they are engaging with the All of Us project. Or your library can go all in and apply for one of our All of Us funding opportunities. With these funds, your library can implement a project supporting your community's health information needs while also raising awareness about All of Us. You could also offer health and wellness programming for adults that includes a focus on topics that are related to All of Us, and that can be a lot of different areas of focus. We have a lot of citizen science projects in the works, and have worked with SciStarter, which is a really exciting organization that focuses on citizen science. So these programs can take a lot of different forms. But these can be promoted to all of us participants in your community, or you could also invite a local All of Us partner to help provide awareness using your library's outreach methods like bookmobiles, book bikes, social media, however you reach your community. And the next slide, please. And finally, in an effort to support libraries who want to stay engaged with their communities through the pandemic and beyond, NNLM is piloting our virtual health programming series, and that began in May of 2020 and will continue into August of 2020. This is a really great resource for folks who are interested in offering virtual health programming for their community but might not have the capacity to do so. And as I said, that's an issue not just during the pandemic, but could be an issue for libraries afterwards as well. So if you would like to take advantage of these programs, you can find more information at nnlm.gov/allofus. And the final slide. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your patience with us today, and thanks for joining us. We have a few minutes to chat if anyone has questions. Our emails are both here. You can reach out to us. We're always really enthusiastic to talk about data literacy. So if you have any questions, please feel free to email either of us. Thank you all so much for coming. I hope this was an informative afternoon.
Thanks for watching. This video was produced by the network of the National Library of Medicine. Select the circular channel icon to subscribe to our channel, or select a video thumbnail to watch another video from the channel.